Guys, welcome to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. It is another great day in the home garden, and once more my dad came down this weekend and we got a ton of things done, which was really great. I'm really grateful that my dad can come down and join me at my house and help with some of the heavier lifting type stuff, and dividing and conquering makes things go a lot faster too. So what you're going to see is a project we've already filmed. When he comes down, we tend to kind of do a lot of things and I don't do a ton of talking in the middle of it, just because we're focused on getting stuff done. And then I come in and add some of the commentary a little bit later. So in this video, what we're going to be doing is planting 2 roses from my plant horde that I brought from my city garden when I moved last year, as well as a new shrub in this space. I would call these 3 plants all like anchor plants because where they are, they're going to be filling a large space, and the roses are actually climbing roses, so they have some trellising on them as well. And I'm really excited how it turned out. So why don't I insert here all the different work, and then we will kind of come back and give you more details on the plants that we planted and give you a closer look at the project. Okay, let's go take a closer peek at everything, and I will show you where they ended up. Now, in true Windsome Cottage Garden fashion, we were filming a couple of different projects this weekend, and there's one very close to where I'm standing that I'm not going to show you because it's going to be in Saturday's video. So you want to check back and see that, because we added some big new spaces to the yard that might just be for this year, but they're going to be full of color and I can't wait. So check back on Saturday to see that video. But for now, let's go take a closer look at these plants. The first plant you saw my dad put in is this climbing rose right here. It is a Beth Sheba David Austin English climbing rose, and if you recognize it, it's because this trellis was at my old house in the city garden. We had it right next to my side door off my driveway. The trellis and the rose all came with me. I removed them before I even listed the home. It overwintered in a pot and is doing really, really well. I love the Beth Sheba rose because it's got such a soft color. You can see it's got like tones of yellow and pale, almost cream, but then the bit is like an apricot-y beauty. This one's a little bit aged, but you can kind of see what it looks like more when it opens. Right now, everything is being watered by sprinkler, which I don't really love. In an ideal world, the grass would be on sprinkler and all the flower beds would be on drip, which long term, the irrigation is something I need to address in this house, but it's a big budget item. And for now, how it is watered, it works for me when I'm looking at my budgeting priorities. So some of these roses, I've already been able to tell the flowers don't last as long because when they get hit by that overhead sprinkling, they drop their petals quite quickly. But you still get moments of beauty. We placed this a while ago. You may have seen it in other videos because I'd kind of been wanting to see if I liked it in this space. The color of the trellis is pretty close to the color of the house, and I contemplated powder coating it. But in the end, I don't want to deal with peeling paint, and where it is now, it's not going to peel. Also, in the long run, this rose is going to scramble up it, and I won't really see the trellis all that much. So I decided to leave it the nice metal color, which is like a brown. I purchased this off of Amazon probably 5 or 6 years ago. It's an H. Potter trellis, and it was pretty affordable for a trellis, and I was very happy with the quality. And I think what it does here is help fill like an awkward space between windows with some vertical interest in a place I wasn't going to plant like a tree, because my drainage field starts about here, and that's a little too close for a tree, but it's perfect for a rose and a gardening puppy. So I have a little piece that my dad and I made that kind of helps. We had it at my old house, helps kind of keep it stable up top and off more like vertically straight. I want to spray paint that bronze so that it blends, because right now it's white because my old house was white. And I'm going to then stick that right about there to help stabilize it. But I didn't need to do that before we planted this. It just looks so good. Now this Beth Sheba English climbing rose is a short climber, and by that I mean it only gets about 10 feet. This I think is 8 or 9, so it probably will fill the space quite well. It's got a medium scent, and it's a myrrh scent. I really love it. Zones 5 through 11, and on average will have 170 petals in their flowers. David Austin is known for this like really exuberant petal count, which gives you these many cupped roses, but they still have the beautiful rosette when they're just opening. And I'm glad that it wintered over so well. I did notice on a couple of my roses that they were having some issues, and I think it's because they've been in their pots. So this one has a little bit of chlorosis starting, you can see. We didn't treat it for iron tone because it had been in its pot, and it might have also been like an overwatering thing. But we did do biotone starter fertilizer when we planted it, and I'll be giving it rose tone once a month just as it gets going, because they are heavy feeder roses. I haven't come in yet and tied it up, but I will be doing that soon. And actually, we took this out in a video at my old house, I believe. So I'll see if I can find that and link it below in case you wanted to see it. And that was the first one that got planted, and I'm so excited to see it establish. This space is one that we're going to be doing some work in this fall, maybe summer. It's a hard one because it bakes, and which means that it gets really hot. As we're starting to enter the hotter part of the season, we'll, in the morning, which it is right now, It's nice and shaded, so I might try and do a little bit and often in this space in the mornings, but it's also going to be very difficult to prep because there is landscape fabric in this whole area, about 8 inches down. So it really needs to be dug out and removed before I can start developing it, which just adds a slight layer of complication to this space. So you will be spending more time here, and you can check back and see it develop over the course of the year. Next two plants that we planted are right around the corner, and I'm not going to give you a backed up view of this one, as I said, because we added something here immediately after we planted them, but I will give you a look at the plants because they're beautiful, starting with the second climbing rose. And here it is. This is a St. Swithin climbing rose. It's also a short climber, which means 10 feet. It's this beautiful, soft pink rose. You can see what I mean about the water damage and the petals. Yeah, kind of being hit by the sprinkler. This one, though, came from my front yard at the city garden. I had planted it at a time when never really loved the space it was in, and I was trying to figure out where it was going to go. And then I moved and brought it with me. Now, it used to be on an obelisk, which is actually sitting right over there for a project, hopefully in a couple weeks. And now it is on the fence line on this arch. Let's see if I can get a backed up picture of it. It's not the easiest to see right now. It's much better in the afternoon when the sun is hitting it directly, but it is one of those old factory windows that has had the glass taken out of it. It's a Facebook Market find that I only spent $100 on, which I thought was a steal of a deal. And I immediately knew I was going to use it as a plant trellis. 10-foot climber. This might be a little bit short, but I still think it'll provide a beautiful arch right here and help break up this swath of fence. Check back for the video on Saturday and I'll give you a backed up view of this area, and you'll be able to see how it's centered and kind of provides a focal point down the yard, which I really, really love. And you can see it just looks so pretty there with the soft pink. It'll pop even when the fence fades a little bit more over time. Coming in closer, it's a medium strong scent, also myrrh, and it also has a large petal count. These buds, let's see, here's a great picture of the bud. It's not even opening yet though, but it always looks so fat. I'm surprised it's only 130. I mentioned that some of the roses are showing a little sad signs. This one has some spotting going on. I've sprayed it with neem oil, and I think now that it's in its spot, again, we did the biotone starter fertilizer, it's going to bounce and fill this trellis admirably. The third shrub we planted is right here, and this is an Ann Magnolia. Now, if you're thinking you've heard that name before, it's because you have. The beautiful magnolia shrub we have at the cottage is an Ann Magnolia, and I have loved it for so long. I knew right away that it was one of those anchor plants I wanted to get in quickly. It also has a special meaning to us because my dad's mom's name was Anne, and actually the shrub we have at the cottage was given to us in honor of her when she died, and I knew right away when I got a yard that could accommodate one that I wanted to try and fit one in somewhere. This is a baby, and it was actually kind of hard to find because most commonly when you're looking at shrub magnolias, you will find the Jane Magnolia, which is in the same series, but gets bigger than the Anne. But I went to a garden center nearby that is a really cool one that had a couple of these smaller shrubs that I was so excited to get my hands on and get in the ground quickly. Now this is a zone 4 through 11, and as I said, it still gets quite tall. It's technically a shrub, but you could prune it into a small tree if you wanted. It will get 8 to 10 feet tall and 9 to 10 feet wide. And the flowers have like a 4-inch diameter with 6 to 8 petals in like a tulip style with a more like purple color in the early spring. And so this one will just kind of be allowed to fill this space. Eventually we'll have to trim up the spruce tree a tiny bit, but I think it'll provide a beautiful anchor on this side of the trellis. And I also love its stem structure over time. It's got like a very silvery bark that looks so cool. And I'm thrilled to have it here, even if there's no flowers on it right now. When we were planting that one, we ran into an irrigation line in a place that wasn't expected. So that had to be repaired before we could move on, which my dad did. And then we proceeded to run into a couple more irrigation lines in the next project, which you'll see on Saturday. because they're just in odd places, but it will still love its space. It'll do really well. I think it should like this because it's got some nice soil around it, but then it's sand underneath, so it's got pretty well draining. I'll try and see if I can insert a picture of what it looks like at the cottage, because our Ann there loves its location so much. It blooms 2 or 3 times a year, which is unusual. I don't know if that's going to do it here, but I would love it if it did. And right now, everything is kind of in the shade, but it will be coming into sun in the next probably 30 to 40 minutes, and then it'll get probably about 14, 15 hours. So they should love this space. And that St. Swithin rose I mentioned, it was, actually, I don't know if I mentioned the zone. It is a 4 through 11. And when I picked it for the front, it said it's more shade tolerant, and where it was in the front at my old house was quite shady. And it did well, but it has more blooms on it this year than it ever did there. So I think it's gonna like it a lot more than it did its old location. Oh, the other thing we did, which I thought I would go give you a closer look at and explain, we straightened a tree we planted a couple weeks ago. This is Sangukaku Japanese maple, also known as a coral bark maple. And what we didn't realize when we picked it out was this came from the same place that we got the Magnolia, and they grow a lot of their own stock. They had it very close together, and this one had a pretty severe curve in it. So we've put out a couple of lines. It's not exactly straight because the trunk kind of came out and then curved, but we've done our best. This is probably as good as it's going to get, and we're going to continue working on this the next couple of years to make sure it gets a better shape, because we have this line. Actually, which one did we do first? I think we did this one first so we could correct the curve that way, and then we pulled this one so it was straight. And that kind of is also giving it a little bit more of a buffer in the wind, and it's already opening up a little bit more. There's some odd, like you can see here, this branch, for example, has grown in a kind of an odd pattern. I'm gonna keep an eye out for some, like, I don't know if I call them weights, but a weight, something really light that I can just tie to a branch to kind of weigh it down. Like this, I want to do that one. I also want to do this one, just to kind of give it a tiny bit more encouragement to open up and harden in a slightly better shape. But it's already filling out a little bit more. It loves this space, and I'm excited to see it grow in the years to come. That's going to do it for this midweek video. I'm really glad my dad got them in the ground. He actually did it while I was working on Friday. Came home, we finished the edging project you saw last Saturday, which if you missed, you should definitely go see it, because it involved that bed we added in the front, getting the cardboard mulch down, and it just looks so sharp right now. So I'll link that one below. And then we got these planted, and then we did the project you're going to see Saturday, which involves getting almost the rest of my seedlings out. I think I only have coleus left to do, and I need to figure out exactly where that's going, because I had originally had a spot in mind that I think might change a little bit. I don't know. Gardener's prerogative, always willing to change their mind. But I'm thrilled that we got these anchor plants in. 2 of the roses are in the ground. I only have, actually 3 are, because 1 went in that project I mentioned in the front yard. And right now I think I only have 2 more shrub roses to figure out where they're going. I know at least one of them is going to go in that bed along the house. I just need to get the space ready for it. The other one, I have an idea of where it's going to go, but I might end up, it's an Atlas Rose by Priven Winters, which I absolutely love. And I might see if I can get 2 more to kind of create a larger showing of them, because it's not as fussy as some roses. It's got a great scent. Oh, decisions. Anyway, I really appreciate you joining me in this video. If you liked it, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. And I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.